present in open session. We're gonna go ahead and go to the open session agenda items. 11A, no action. B, at this time, ma'am.
The recommendation is that the School Board of Trustees consider approving the employment of new at-will substitute staff for the 22-23 school year. I move.
Motion made by member Pero. Is there a second? Second?
The agenda item
Oh,
on executive session. The ad will in place?
I second.
Second made by Secretary Reyes Espinosa. All right, any more comments or questions? Go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. 6-0.
That was the only thing in,
Yeah, yes, we're gonna go back to item 7, action items. A, discussion, action to add, revise, or delete local policies as recommended by TASB Policy Service and according to the instruction sheet for localized manual update 120 on second and final reading.
Mr. Rones, all that we're approving here is what's in this book.
Yes.
Everybody read it?
I started, but then I had to just do summaries.
Oh, we have some.
Yeah, but they're handy because you know what? That new website is very difficult to manipulate.
Yeah.
I do not like it.
Had a whole week of spring break. And, basically, this is what SB is recommending that we update.
Yes, sir.
I move.
Motion made by Member Nora Guerrero to approve as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Secretary Reyes Espinosa. Comments, questions, discussion? Any promises? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. 4, 5, 6, motion passes 6-0. Item B, discussion action to approve the instructional calendar for the 2023-2024 school year. Ma'am.
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the 23-24 instructional calendar as suggested in our last meeting. This is option C, and in your section, you will see the meetings that we had and the surveys.
I have a comment on that.
Yes, sir.
Day on there,
We can.
MLK, the federal holiday.
January.
I was gonna recommend, I don't know, if any of you, in the calendar, it shows that, school year, we have 10 staff development days.
That's D. That's calendar D.
Well, the one, that you all are approving,
The RC calendar has 3 professional development days the first week and 1 the second week.
so which is the one that you all are recommending?
C, page 66, page C. Yeah.
And that doesn't have 10
No, that's D.
D.
How urgent is it that we approve it today?
You can approve it today and then we can make adjustments to it.
Because I believe that member Houston has a valid point, that we should consider Martin Luther King Day as a local holiday.
We can have it.
We can do it
Have
now.
it.
Can add it
I can
now?
have it now.
Here, years.
Would they require a particular motion, or can we make a motion that it include, would that be whatever, the motion is made to accept draft C with the inclusion, or draft D with the inclusion?
Well, the recommendation that we're bringing to you is draft C.
Okay, on what day would that fall?
Anna? That would be January 15th. I believe that's when MLK.
Okay.
Again, I'm a little confused, okay. The recommendation is for calendar, C. And on C, at the beginning of school year,
It would be Monday, January 15th.
when the, teachers, everybody comes back, How many staff development days are we having?
The first week, when teachers come back, we have 3 staff development days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and
66.
Thursday. And then the second week, we have 1 on the 21st.
What about teacher work days?
We have 3 work days, 1 on the 14th, 1 on the 18th, and 1 on the 25th, and then we have 3 campus planning days.
What's the difference between campus planning and professional development?
Professional development are training days. Campus planning is the teachers are at the campus planning for 6 weeks, if I'm looking at
It could be
August.
department meetings, it could be individual in the classroom.
Lesson plan, auditing.
Is there any way, through my experience, and I mean, we can give them another work day and delete a professional day? Because a lot of the professional days were repetitious. I remember teachers when I was in the campuses, they would get drained, exhausted, and everything else because it was the same thing. It was the same thing. It was the same thing. The same thing. And to me, why are you going to send a teacher that's been 15 years to the same professional work shop that just started? In other words, could we have like beginning teachers here, new teachers?
Differentiate the professional development.
Yeah, because I remember him, and I'm gonna say his name. He was truthful, and it was like, ay Diosito. It's 15th in a row that I already have this workshop, and to me, it's a waste of time. And it was a whole day workshop. So is there any way somebody could sit down and say, hey, these teachers need this, this,
Yes, we can do that.
and get rid of one professional staff day and not give the teachers another work day? I think they need at least 4 to really get ready.
Well, we can add a workday at the end of the calendar without removing a professional development day. The professional development days we need to make sure that
How many
continue training.
per year do you have staff development?
You didn't raise your hand, I wasn't finished. So we can give the workday instead of the campus day, we can give a workday there?
Are you looking at draft C?
Monday?
Are you looking at draft C? You see in June, you have 3 workdays at the end.
Okay, now I'm looking at calendar C draft, where it says workday, professional, workday, professional, campus, and workday.
You're talking about just in August. Give another.
Yes, ma'am.
If I may.
I would not.
Mr. Espinosa, let me interject something. It's pertinent to what you're saying. It's a valid question that you're asking, sir, that you're posing, but I also know that, I'm curious to know, ma'am, how many of our
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
teachers
6, 7, 8.
do not have long-term contracts? That they're on the 5-year plan now, under those.
Under the waivers, we have about 25.
Okay, but aside from those, the teachers, unless things have changed recently since 2016, they have to renew their certification every 5 years.
Correct. That has not
Still-
changed,
that
yes.
has not
And so
changed.
they need to have their
So
professional.
they need to have so many hours every year. I think it's 30. Is it still 30? There's still 30. They need to accumulate those. And a lot of those hours you can get at the beginning of the school year and also beginning of the second semester.
But what-
Professional development ones. That applies even professionals that have been there for several years. If they're under the 5-year plan, they still gotta accumulate those 30 hours.
But okay, I understand what you're saying. These guys need these hours. But if this guy or girl is fully certified, why are you gonna send them to the same workshop?
If they're not fully certified,
If you're saying they need those professional hours.
basically every teacher now, because of their age, is on the 5-year certification plan. So they need 30 hours of professional development.
Even if you're fully certified.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, you're fully certified, every 5 years you gotta renew. And you gotta show the state that you have those 30 hours.
My thing, and again, and you know, I just feel that certain teachers need to go to certain professional development because one of the teachers told me, nombre, hacer de la campanita, yeah, 13 years in a row. So is there any way we can get the teachers, say, you go to this one, you go to this one, you go to this one, you go to this one?
There will be some professional development that everybody's going to need. So anything that has to do with the state standards, with accountability, all teachers need to,
Even if it was the year before?
yes, because things are changing,
And
especially after a legislative year like this year.
I'm gonna,
But can we differentiate? Yes. Get prescriptive with who needs what type of support.
okay, I'm gonna raise my hand. How many will be campus-based developments?
The first three, the 15th, 16th, 17th are district days. And then the 21st, all the way through are campus staff developments.
And are we done with our reading academies for the lower level?
For majority of the teachers that were in need of those reading academies, yes.
Okay. And does our spring break coordinate with the junior college for our kids that are taking classes?
I believe so.
So, Mr. Bonilla, so they have to, you have to have 10 days of something and to make,
30 hours and the professional training, site development days cover that.
so the friend that I called in San Antonio, she was not telling the truth because she said they went 3 work days and 2.
Sure, if, I don't know who that lady is, I don't know how old she is. For example, in my case, I have 2 certifications that are forever, okay? I don't need, I still have to do trainings every year, but I don't have to show the state those trainings. But I also had some 2 certifications that dealt with 5-year plans, and I had to accumulate those 30 hours every year. I did it 5 years, 150 hours, and I show the state, and I get recertified.
Right.
Ms. Briones, and your SBDM board is inclusive. I mean, we got teachers, vice principals, our federal programs director, we have all of
But
this.
if you look
It's a diverse-
also on this page, you have one campus, Vincent representative. You have another one, I think 2 campuses. And then we have, under parent representative, somebody from central office, and you cannot have somebody that works for the district, on the district as PDM or campuses PDM. And it's okay, I mean, my main concern is that, we put our staff developments at the beginning, wherever, and we also, provide, maybe another teacher work day, and for the campus to have their own. If they have their own needs
Campus
at
have their own.
campus, and also, before I finish, I know we were talking about in executive session, some things that we're concerned on, some stuff. When we give them the Christmas holidays and the New Year's, at the end, the students come to school. Couldn't we give them a work day so that they can prepare? After being away 2 weeks,
Before the holiday break or?
no,
After.
a work day
Yes,
for the staff when they have 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's.
Draft C has a campus planning day on the,
Has a professional development day and a campus planning day.
Okay, so it's here.
Yes.
it's in draft C.
Mr. Bonilla? Oh, sorry.
Discussion among anybody about a 4-day work week? Like,
We have talked about it and we have weighed the pros and the cons of it. And we just had that discussion this morning in cabinet and the research does not indicate that it is conducive to eventually student achievement. And then there's a couple of drawbacks that the community would feel. So if, for sure, daycare is going to be one of them. The county doesn't have enough daycare to support all the number of kids that are going to be home. Parents have to work. Somebody has to take care of kids. There's an issue then with attendance. Who's going to take care of teachers' children that have to stay home on a Friday? So there's implications to the 4-day week. that outweigh the benefits of the 4-day week.
In a community as small as ours, the parents would be hurting for, when they go to work,
Yes,
take care of
it's
their
gonna take-
kids and this and that. I mean, we don't have that many daycares. I know in
Right.
bigger cities, they do have it, so.
Is it a reference to this?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's in reference to this. So say that PE teachers, why are they sent to a math workshop? Let me tell you what happened real quick when I went to one at the very end. I was there and everybody had a computer. And the math guy looked at me and said, did you have a bad summer or are you having a bad day? It was embarrassing.
The consultant?
Yeah, oh yeah. And I just kind of smiled because the Astros were in first place, so it didn't matter. About 10 o'clock, he called the break and he called me and he said, "Sir, where's your computer?" And I told him, "I do not teach math, I teach PE." And these were his words. He said, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And I said, "My principal made me come." And he said, "I don't need you in here. You have things at your gym to do." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Get out of here." So my thing is, why are we forcing band PE to go to those workshops when it's not gonna benefit them any?
Well, if it's about standards, if it's about the Texas essential knowledge and skills, those all teachers benefit, regardless of whether they're PE, because PE has their standards, band has their standards. All of the content areas have their standards, including the electives. So in that respect, they would have to go. If it's a PE teacher that is going into a math professional development, I would think that that PE teacher is helping the bigger campus with some type of tiered intervention in math. I don't know. I would,
Well, I used to help like with Telly and Skip Count and all that, but then I was frozen because of the way math started you had to explain, so they told me,
to help them out this.
you're confusing them, so couldn't we bring like a PE guy to teach the PE and the band?
Ms. Ronia, can we table this and then she can add whatever we recommend or we have to approve?
Well, the issue, Mr. Espinosa, is that we
Solar.
can't be cutting too many days because we have to be in compliance
I
with
know.
the 75,600 minutes that are required by law. So we can't just be adding work days and leave the students with the less amount of minutes of instruction that we're required to have.
Mr. Oni, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the calendar as presented by this board, and that for us to add the holiday, January 15th, Martin Luther King.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor to go with the recommendation of the superintendent to adopt draft C.
And the SBDM board,
Monday?
and the board that worked on it, the SBDM board that presented.
Don't have to approve that.
Yeah, we don't have to. think
No, I know
report.
that they are the ones who worked on it and
But we don't
presented
have a-
Ms. Briones, and Ms. Briones presented to us. That's my motion.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor, let's see if I got this right, ma'am, made by member Nora Guerrero to approve the recommendation that the district adopt draft C with the addition of Martin Luther King Day on January
15.
15th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 15, and also to recognize the work of the district-based decision-making committee.
I'm gonna make an alternate motion.
Okay, first, let me, is there a second to the first motion?
That's okay.
Okay, second by member Sam Houston, Sammy Houston. All right, there is an alternate motion. What is your motion,
Motion
sir?
is the same, but add a work day when we come back or when the staff comes back from the Christmas holidays.
There's already one on the motion.
Is there?
Yeah, there's two, yeah. Okay, so there's no, you withdrawing your alternate motion, sir?
Do what now? I'm getting confused.
No, I want to make sure, and
Yeah, it's in there.
it's okay that when we come back from the Christmas, New Year's holiday, they have a work day because a lot of times you come and you wanna come decorate your room and this and that.
We have it already.
Right,
Right.
if I'm reading this
We
right,
had it last year.
if we're reading it right,
Right
the
under-
proposed draft has
Right under-
professional development day and a campus planning day.
Concerned about our dual credit kids not getting a spring break if we're not coordinated, I mean, because they won't get one.
I know that this year it was.
Yeah, we were
coordinated with the-
coordinated.
the
Okay.
Southwest Texas Junior College. So let's go ahead and continue, you withdraw your motion, sir? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and, take a vote, or any questions or comments on the motion made by member Laura Guerrero, seconded by Sammy Houston. All right, let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. And that is to make sure that, under the days included.
Yes,
Item C, discussion action to approve superintendent's evaluation tool.
We had 6 merchants of me. Ernest, this one's, remember we met with our attorney Juan Cruz, he sent you some,
but it's up to the board to,
sample. The one that I feel, I mean, of all of them, that it would work better for us. is the merchant tool. I think on the other ones, I mean, they have too many bullets on a specific thing, and we have to. I mean, this one is kind of simplified. Basically, also the district goals, and for example, I mean, if you look at number 2 on page 88, school organization, I mean, that's only one thing. In some of the other ones, I mean, they have a lot of stuff as bullets. You know, I mean,
Contradictory.
but
I'll just, I'm gonna state that all of them, regardless, must include student, progress, right? The first part, right?
student progress,
Progress, the results from other testing.
progress and achievement.
yeah, I think it's there on number
Yeah,
1.
it's not here, it's just.
You like version 2? I do too.
It's a number 1, I mean, student management and it. The only thing, I mean, I wanted to see we could add there, because,
You're talking about this.
89.
89.
Version 2 is on page 84.
Yeah, but
There's that one, which is very, very long.
It's a
Look,
link.
you're there all night. This one has a lot. Version 2,
Version 2.
and it's like the TASB one where you rate her on the scores. Look, leadership, school organization, school improvement, management, personal management, financials. It's cut and dried, it's real short.
Yeah, I like that one.
That has to-
Yeah, and then, version 3 is a bit like the first one,
It's not on,
very, very lengthy, very lengthy.
I mean, all the data, improvement and all that, it will,
you're looking at version 1?
86.
Yeah, 2 is,
86. It, student instructional management says,
it covers everything. I mean, and it's very, it's not real,
Right, so that's what I'm saying. I would just attach my documentation.
it would be very related to your goals, start testing and all that. I mean, some of the other ones, I mean, are fine, but like I'm saying, I mean, they have about 5, 6, 7 bullets. I mean, finish reading them, you're gonna be confused. But one of the things that I'm gonna be pushing for this coming year
Yes, sir.
is reading. I know we do the start reading and all that, but I wanna see, I mean, if we can, pre-kinder through maybe 5th grade, do a lot of reading, that we know at what level the students are reading at. I know, I mean, the other day, somebody gave us a conversion, thing.
For the like,
I don't think we really have a reading program in place. That's something that we can look at. I mean, maybe we have it in place, but I really haven't seen it. I mean, where the kids actually read and read and read and read at the same time that we're preparing them for the start. But I don't know, that's the one that I like, version 2.
Superintendent evaluation 2, version 2.
If I may, I like version 2 also, but I like version 1 also. That's the commissioner's recommended one. And the main reason is because the very first part of the evaluation is that, section called the commissioner's recommended domain, part 1, that it's gonna show student progress for the year. It's gonna be there. Just plain and simple, straight from what are those reports for the paper and all those report information on that domain. And then it's attached these questions here that we're talking about. I just want to make sure that if the board goes with version 2, that it also includes that first part, that domain showing student progress. Then the superintendent's evaluation will be based also on that domain.
That's the main thing, I mean, that we're gonna be evaluating the superintendent.
Yes, but see,
Somewhere there, I read it, somewhere here.
the only mention is at the very end, and it's very, it says, it's on page 89, number 10, management performance. And that's her ability to manage our students' progress in academics. And I want to see the actual information.
Well, we could add it to version 2, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to make sure, I wanted to point that out. I mean, it's up to the board.
Could add
to
it
decide.
to version 2.
She has been giving us progression reports as we go along.
Yes, but there has to be a statistic, a data sheet showing our kids' progress during the year. Okay, and then that plus whatever is our evaluation of our abilities, is what we're gonna use to do the overall evaluation. But there has to be, or there should be, a section dealing with nothing but stats.
Well, that's the main thing, that he recommends, I mean, when we evaluate a superintendent.
Yeah, for sure.
That, so, I mean,
So can we include it in version 2?
I don't see why not. It's up to us. It's up to us to adopt the issue.
so to include the commissioner recommended student performance domain worksheet, from region 13?
If the board goes that route.
Yeah, if,
I'll make a motion that we go that route with the 2 and the addition, Sharonia.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to adopt superintendent evaluation version 2 with the addition of the student domain section. Okay, it is made by Secretary Mendoza, seconded by Member Nora Guerrero.
Excuse me.
Any questions or comments in reference to that? Any explanation or any other details? All right, let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes 6-0 to adopt version 2 with the addition of the student domain section. D, discussion action to approve superintendent's formative goals.
so Anna provided to you the goals and objectives that we presented at the last board meeting, but I've asked her to make an addition to it. And so what I did was I condensed all of the goals and objectives, it's in your green folder, into my 5 goals. So if you're looking in your green folder, the goals 1, 2, and 3, those are the board goals that we established for the district for 22 all the way to 2025 school year. And then right underneath that, I added the superintendent goals for the 22-23 school year. And they're the same. The only difference is on number 4, what I did with the CCMR goal is that I broke it down into the different percentiles by the different indicators in CCMR. So my measure is 70% of 22-23 grads will demonstrate college, career, or military readiness. We will find that in Accountability 2024 because CCMR is a lagging indicator. 80% of 22-23 grads will meet at least one CCMR accountability standard. 50% of 22-23 grads will meet career readiness. Again, also reported in Accountability 2024. And then I added all of the different indicators that will contribute to Accountability 2024. So we address college, career, and military readiness in that first measure, the 70%. And then for the grads who do not demonstrate CCMR readiness, they will meet at least one alternative career readiness option, and these are the CT completers. And so my measure here is 30% of 22-23 graduates that did not meet CCMR will meet CT completer readiness.
Okay, that's fine, ma'am. I read them. My only question that I have now is, what are the relationship to the evaluation instrument? Where do they go in? They need to be fitted into the evaluation instrument. So where are they going to be put in? That's the only question.
I would have to look at the commissioner's worksheet, but these feed right into it.
Right, okay. I just want to make sure that they're going to be, when we get the final copy.
They'll be there.
They're going to be in there.
Yes, CCMR is a big indicator for high school and for the district.
Okay.
And so that's really the difference between the two documents, is that I gave you a condensed version.
After the scores come in,
That's a good question.
Okay, based on the operating policy, we have to approve a calendar where the board will evaluate ourselves, and then we set up the formative evaluation for the superintendent.
summative, right? Oh, yeah, the formative.
Formative first, and then the summative. So we have to bring it to a meeting and decides on.
Well, she needs the formative pretty soon, so she'll know expectations.
So traditionally, the formative is done in January,
Yeah.
right? You do it in January so that whatever growth measures the superintendent still requires happens January, February, March, April, and then you have your summative in June or July, depending on how the board votes.
But we didn't do any of that.
No, because we started late. So now the formative has to be probably in June and the summative in September
One of the reasons is because the results don't come in until September or October.
for this upcoming school year, yes.
So we do a proper summary. But, in the formative, I know that we can use, if we don't have the actual results for the current year, we can use whatever benchmark
Existing,
information.
yes.
So it's where we are, and where she is in her progress in achieving her goals.
Mr. O'Neill, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the superintendent's formative goals.
Okay, there is a motion for by member Guerrero to approve superintendent's formative goals. Is there a second? I second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously, 6-0.
Motion? Mr. Bonito.
E, discussion action to approve the revised CCISD board operating procedures. Ma'am,
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the revised CCISD board operating procedures as discussed during the Team of Eight meeting on January 2023. And you will see those revisions on page 143. Of the
What?
packet, 143.
and they're highlighted, right, ma'am?
Yes, they're in red.
So on this, if we approve it, I mean, and we want to visit campus, we have to let you know 24 hours
In advance, prior to the visit, yes, sir.
in advance.
Yes, sir.
And it also indicates the board members who wish to visit a campus in the capacity other, well, which one was the other one? Oh, E, board members may be invited to attend public events, receptions, groundbreakings, dedications, ribbon cuttings, and other things. Is there any way that you can have a calendar from your principals so that we know what's happening? Sometimes, I mean, here, I mean, that something's gonna happen, and I think some of the principals got Facebook, but if we don't get into Facebook, we don't know, I mean.
So advertise the events?
I mean, just make a calendar for us. I mean, we're gonna have the little hoggy relays, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that and that. Whatever activities they're gonna have, and that way, I mean, because I see Mr. O'Neill a lot, and Gabriel, we usually attend all the athletic events, this, that, and we would like to attend also this.
We can make that happen.
All the changes have been highlighted in a different color. Okay.
It's actually, that's the only change.
Make a motion, Mr. Warnia.
Motion made by Rivera to accept the operating procedures as amended and revised. Is there a second? Ms. Young. Second by member Peggy Young. Okay, there are any comments or questions? All right, it's going to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. 6-0. F, discussion action to approve resolution number 23-27 CCISD investment policy. Ma'am?
So in your packet, you have the investment policy, or it should be in your folder, I think. I gave you both a CDA legal and local. I'm not going to go through legal because it is legal and we should be in compliance with it. But in looking at CDA local and our investment authority, this is a policy that needs to come before the board every year. The last time that it came before the board was in 2019. So we have to get this policy current. So in looking at CDA local and considering the authority that the board gives the superintendent, you'll see that the policy reads: the superintendent or other persons designated by board resolution shall serve as the investment officer of the district. It shall invest district funds as directed by the board and in accordance with the district's written investment policy and generally accepted accounting procedures. All investment transactions except investment funds and mutual funds shall be settled on a delivery versus payment basis. So the rest of the policy speaks to the managing of the investments, the liquidity and maturity of the investments, the diversity portfolio that we have, monitoring our market prices, and Florencio and Mr. Lujan will delve into the policy, not into the policy, into our practices, our investment practices in a minute. So this is just an attempt for us to bring CDA local current. We are not recommending any changes be done to it.
And you're saying that this should be approved every year?
Yes, sir. It should come before the board every year.
Why didn't we approve anything in 2021 and 22?
I was not aware that it had to be approved until this year. So we're bringing it to you this year. So the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2327, CCISD investment policy.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
By Secretary Ray to approve, second by member Ora Guerrero. Any comments or questions, discussion? All right, it's going to take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. G, discussion action to approve the Science Textbook Committee members.
So the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the Science Textbook Adoption Committee as presented. We are going to adopt a new science curriculum.
I have a question. When we approve, textbooks, do we get textbooks for the students, for every student, or how does it work now?
It depends on how the publisher is publishing the textbook. So it could be an actual textbook, like the old-fashioned kind, a hardcover. It could be a paperback, or it could be an ebook.
And this is what the teachers want. They have buy-in on this.
The teachers, the committee will participate in this, in the adoption process. They will be the ones to adopt
This is the
whatever.
committee that's gonna be reviewing,
Yes.
and then they'll come with a recommendation.
Yes, sir.
For all these people, I mean, related to science, in one way.
Pretty much all of them. Yes, sir.
Mr. Tony, I move.
Motion made by Member Nora Guerrero to approve the recommended committee members for the Science Textbook Committee. For a second?
Second it.
Second made by Member Young.
I have a question, sir.
Okay, question?
By when will this or recommendation coming to you from the committee?
By the end of this year. The actual curriculum
Well, what they approve, we're gonna be looking at
this year, at the end of the year.
the year, and so whatever we approve should be here by the.
Yeah, they get shipped out pretty quickly.
My only recommendation is that for the lower grades that textbooks, not just in science, but that they're not too verbose. It doesn't have to be that complex in order to develop vocabulary. I believe that the lower grades vocabulary is very important, and pictures and words connected to the pictures will really help in understanding the concept and improving vocabulary. That's my hope. Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, item 8, informational discussion, and we're gonna jump around, people in reference to this. We're gonna start with D, State of the District.
Mr. Cepeda?
Of the union.
Yep, we are a union.
Is that in here, Mr. Bonilla?
I believe
Okay.
information is in the, and it's, that's the title, ma'am, of State of the District.
Yes.
This one here, ma'am.
Oh,
Good evening,
I got it.
Board President, Secretary, members of the board, invited guests. We'd like to present the Crystal City Independent School District State of the District report. Just to reiterate, it is important that budget and expenditures always be student-focused. All educational funding, local, state, and federal allocations belong to the students of Crystal City Independent School District. Therefore, all budget and expenditures must be made in the best interest of our student body. It is imperative that school officials be prudent when spending school district allocations. Therefore, all expenditures must be student-focused. I wanted to start our presentation with the actual district-approved budget that the board approved back in April 29th, 2022. That was our budget that we approved for this academic school year.
That's here in this paper.
Yes, sir.
Right here?
It's on page 3.
Yes.
Yes, page 3. This is the budget that you all approved back in August 29th, 2020 for the 22-23 school year. remember, we made a lot of comments and a lot of discussions regarding this particular budget. Two particular functions, the extracurricular activities, we increased that particular budget 37% from as compared to the prior school year. The other function that we increased quite a bit was function 52, which is security monitoring services, and that was because of the event that happened in Uvalde and making sure that our students were safe. That particular fund was increased by 79%. All the other functions stayed primarily the same, but those two were our focused increases. We ended up with a $27,650,744 budget.
Let me have a question before I forget.
Yes, sir.
On that thing that you said, before, what we had a proof for safety, you mentioned a percentage, right? What was the percent?
79% increase from the prior year.
But,
52.
and then we moved $4 million from somewhere to that.
And I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
Yes, but this was the budget that you all approved on the 29th.
So the four,
These are expenditures that we approved,
Yes,
expenditures.
yes, ma'am, by function. Okay? So we want to give you an up-to-date budget expenditure as of last Friday, and this is both our local and state. So if you take a look at the function and the description and the budget that you all approved, that third column says budget. That's the budget that you all approved by function in the previous slide. That next column says current expenditures. That's where we are as far as expenditures is concerned by function. You will see the comment that was made regarding the $4 million board-approved recommendation that we could expend accordingly. Up to today, if you take a look at function 81, that says facilities
acquisition.
You will see that we have now a current expenditure of $2,086,103. That is how much we have spent from fund balance for the items that I will be talking about in the next couple of pages. And that is the comment that you were talking about, sir. So we had, of course, you all approved a $27,650,744 budget. We have expended $18,293,563, leaving us with a balance of $9,357,181.
If I may, sir, just a recommendation for the next time you present, sometimes that you include percentages. For example, under expenditures.
Yes, sir.
If you include percentages, we'll know what percent of the budget has been expended.
So noted, sir. So we have a balance of $9,357,181.
What are other governmental charges? Number 99.
Those are our tax collections that we did, yes, sir.
Okay.
And the 9 million or the
That's
fund
our
balance?
That's our balance, so you all approved the 27 million, we have expended 18 million, we now have $9 million left.
Is that the fund?
Okay, and I always ask,
Or budget balance?
we're good with our reserves, they're put aside, or this includes our reserve.
This does not include our reserve. We'll go into our reserve in the next,
Okay.
a few slides after this.
Okay.
Any questions on this? And with so noted, sir, I'll give you some.
So you know, how far are we in the school year now, man? 60% of the school year, 70%?
70?
So that we can then gauge how we're doing in expenditures compared to where we are in the year.
Sounds good, sir. The next page has to do with all of our federal grants. I think this is an important slide because this gives you all a perspective of all the grants that we have, and we have quite a few of them. So what I did is I listed all of them, and I also gave you the end date of each grant because we need to expend those funds before that particular day. So it's important, it behooves all of us that we know what is the end date for each and every one of our grants. So in the next column, I gave you our allocations, and those are the funding that we received by grant. I gave you a current expenditures. How much have we spent of that particular grant? And then the last column is our balance. And solely noted, sir, next time I will give you a percentage column on here. So we have $18.7 million in grants. We have expended 14.3 million, and we have $4.3 million left. Now, it is important that we take a look at the end date, particularly for two of our grants. If you take a look at the T-class ESSER 3 and the T-class high quality after school grant, those two grants with the addition of the silent panic alarm end not this academic school year, but the following. So that's one of the reasons that we have a big or a large reserve, a large balance, because we still have, after this year, one more year to go with these grants.
So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is our ESSER and everything. So this is the one Mr. Eid was very worried about that we were going to be called out for.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we all are on the same page and we know exactly how much is being spent per grant.
Okay.
Sir, did you mention last time when Mr. Eid was here that we lost $240,000 somewhere from federal programs?
We lost 240,000.
That we didn't spend or something? You don't remember? No, okay, maybe.
So we still have $4.3 million in balance in all of our grants. The majority of them will be ending in September of this school year. So one of the things that our superintendent has done has told everyone, as of March 17th, that is the end date, with the exception of a few exceptions. We will stop using the local and state fund and concentrate on spending all of our federal funds. That will take some of the stress off of our local and state funds.
And basically, that's what we should do every year.
I totally agree with you, yes, sir. Yes. The next page, now we go into our fund balance. So, I've given you our fund balance based by fund, and if you see the column that says beginning year, that was our beginning year fund balance as of September 1st. So general fund, we had 9.5 million. Special revenue, we had 36,000. A special revenue, those are our food service. Our debt service is 2.3 million. Our capital project, 745,000. So our total general fund balance was 12.6 million at the beginning of the year. And then I have another column that says obligations. And if you take a look at the bottom of the graph, you'll see that the board has approved the fund balance obligations coming out of the general fund. One of them was for fencing, safety, and security. The allocation was 1.5 million. That was approved by the board on July 2022. Surveillance. The allocation was 477,588. That was approved by the board on September 19, 2022. And then the last one is the scoreboard. That was allocated $108,517, and that was approved on December 13, 2022, with a total of $2,086,105. So that's what is up at the top as our obligation for the general fund. The special revenues, that's $36,000. That is our food service. So we have to expend those funds, and we're going out for bids to purchase new equipment for the kitchens at the campuses. Our debt service, of course, that will be spent at the end of the year because those are the expenditures that we pay out.
What picture are you on?
7. Oh, sorry.
Six.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
On this money that we approve for safety and all that stuff.
Yes.
Have we been reimbursed by the state on any of that money that we spent? Understanding is that the state was supposed to.
You are absolutely correct, and everyone is tremendously disappointed. You remember that everyone, our legislators and everyone were saying that we were, hey, make sure that you comply with the school safety rules and regulations, and we're going to reimburse you. Well, they reimbursed Crystal City Independent School District $200,000.
200,000.
That's it.
Even with.
How did they make the determination that's all we deserve to get back?
They go on a formula. So what our legislatures do is they will approve a particular amount of funds, and then they divide all of that money by student, and then each district will receive those funds. The minimum is 200,000. So it is extremely disappointing.
We got the bigger
We
minimum.
only got $200,000.
What are you right to let them know that? We're pretty disappointed about that.
Oh, yes. So one of the things, and I'll get back to your question in just a minute. So one of the things that we're doing is that our TEA, the Texas Education Agency, sent a survey to each and every district and open enrollment charter school. And the survey was for us to tell our legislators how much does it truly cost for us to be in compliant with that particular law that they passed. It is my hope, and I'm crossing my fingers, that our legislatures, being that it is a new biennium, that they will give us additional funding. But that's all we can do is keep our fingers crossed. Sir, you had a question?
Wasn't it, my understanding that the federal government was also gonna give us some money for safety?
As of today, we have received nothing, with the exception of the $200,000.
Even with all that surplus, I mean, the governor is saying that we have.
I truly agree with you. At one of the conferences that I was at, I told them, hey, no time in history have we had such a high reserve in the rainy day fund.
It is, it's
Give
an
us-
all-time high.
It is. I said, give us some of that money that we need to reimburse us.
Well, but they promise that they will reimburse.
Yeah, so, we'll see what's gonna
Pick
happen.
one already.
So, what we're projecting at the end of this academic school year is that, under the general, fund balance, we'll have 7.4 million. We will keep the capital, projects, the 745,000, so we will end up, with 8.1 million in our reserves. Okay? Next page is our investments. So.
Sir, before you go any further, I know it's gotta be asked. What is the percent of our fund balance that that we should keep in reserve to keep us operating? What is it, 3 months?
3 months, yes.
So we're looking at how much per month?
So what you all approved, when we approved the budget, was 4.5 million. Yes, good question. In our investments, you guys, of course, the interest rates and the yields are not very good.
We don't get anything.
I know we don't, guys. But you guys have, but the investments are in compliance. So we have, 3 particular, investments, in different institutions. One of them is in the, Savannah County Bank. So we have a checking account, it's a depository account, we have, 1 million. We also have a savings account, a timing savings account, we have $35,000 in there. We have some US Treasury notes at 289,000. We have 2 Fannie Mae's, one of them for 163, and the other one for 469,000. And the last one is a Jenny Mae for 223.
It did better than all of them.
I know, yes. So we have a total of 1.1 million in investments with the Savannah County Bank. Our big one, of course, is our Lone Star investment pool. And that we have the bond series, the 2016, interest and sinking, we have 78,000. Our general fund, we have 9.5 million. Our debt service fund, the 4 million. Our construction fund, 2015 series, these 756,000, and our workers' compensation was 1.1 million, adding up to 15. Those interest and yields are not too great, but they're there. And our last one is our Texas Star investment, and we have 2 very small accounts. So those are general fund accounts, one for $1,080 and the other one for $1,096, for a total of $2,176. So it is in keeping with the spirit of the law regarding our investments. You meet all of them. Our investments are safe. Our investments are liquid. Should we need them, we can go get those funds. And lastly, they are well diversified. So so if one of them doesn't do very well, the other one may do a little bit better, and so forth down the line. So we are in compliance with our primary investment principles.
If I may, sir, one of the questions that was asked back in November was, how well does a district invest its monies in long term? And one of the things that has always been impressed upon me, and maybe you can clarify, is that although we wish to have long-term investments, we have to maintain our balance is very fluid, because there's a lot of movement in the money that our district gets.
You're absolutely correct. You being able to get your hands on your investment funds is extremely critical. God hopes this never happens, but if you have a catastrophic event, you want to be able to reach to your fund and begin utilizing those funds in order to get your campuses back up to normality. Of course, they have to be safe. So you can't throw them out into the stock market. No, they have to be safe. They have to be liquid, and they have to be well diversified.
Didn't the laws change drastically after the big loss from Exxon and the Houston people that lost the district that lost their money?
And, there were actually two big events that happened that required these particular laws to be implemented. One of them was in Enron, and the other one was in California, when they were investing so much public funds into the housing market. Yeah, in one particular, they didn't diversify.
Right here, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So our investments, are they set for a certain amount of years? Or can we get other ones, because the rates are going up?
They're just now beginning to go up, and we'll keep an eye on those investments and those yields and those interest rates to see how they're fluctuating. If they fluctuate accordingly and they're keeping up with the interest rates, we can keep them there. If they're not keeping up with the local interest, with the interest rates or the yields, then we can, of course, move them, always making sure that they are safe, they're liquid, and that they are well done.
There is a chance we might get more money because the rates are going up.
As far as our interest rates, God hear you.
So we can put our artificial turf on our baseball field?
We'll conquer those events as they come along.
I'm just kidding.
Mr. Houston?
I had a question, just, I don't know if you were finished, but, on page 6, I saw the balance was 8.15 million. Was 4.5 of that should stay in the reserve? Is that?
Which one, sir, one more time?
Page 6,
Phase 6?
the balance was 8.5.
Yes.
So 4.5 of that has to stay in reserve, so.
That is correct, yes, sir, yes. And that's one of the documents that you all sign to make sure that we are always in compliance.
While ago, you mentioned, sir, that we have some funds in the federal programs. So we were going to kind of spend that before our fund balance or local monies.
That is correct.
But is there something that we need, campuses or somebody, that cannot be purchased from federal programs? We're gonna get it from the fund balance?
We can, of course, we will always turn to you
We're not
for.
gonna turn anybody and say, well, sorry, we don't have more money, or.
True. Always, in our federal grants always have strings attached to them. So the Texas Education Agency or the federal government will tell you, these funds you can only spend doing this. These funds you can only spend doing this. So one of the things that we're doing with leadership of our superintendent is making sure that we spend all of our federal funds first and get those done and out of the way. Hopefully leaving us with some fund balance in our local and state revenues, general fund.
Because we don't get back what we don't spend, right?
With the exception of two, there's a little rollover.
Okay.
So it's the title grants and our idea. All the others, if you don't spend them, you lose them.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good question.
On the Title I, Part A, the school, you get money back from those if?
Yeah, there's a certain percentage, 15% of those funds can roll over to the next school year. We want to make sure that we don't go over that particular percentage, because then, of course, TEA is always keeping an eye on those, saying, hey, why are we giving you this money and you're not using it? Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Florencia.
Thank you.
This time, we're gonna move on to 8C, update on debt overview and market update.
Mr. Lujan?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
For the record, my name is Matt Lujan. I'm just starting to host and serve as financial advisors to the district. So what I've been asked to do tonight is give you an overview of where you guys stand on your outstanding debt, and so we'll go into that and then briefly talk about some of the market conditions now, just so you have a perspective of what rates that viewers were just mentioning are particularly for the market. At any point, if you have any questions, please feel free just to interject. You'd like me to go a little further. On this first page here, what we've got is two graphs. The top one is your outstanding debt service, that includes your principal and interest payments over the course of the maturity. So your last payment is currently 2040. You can see around 2029, it drops in debt service payment or principal interest payments, and then it continues to declines until 2040 when you pay off all your current existing debt. Right now, for the next 3 years, your debt service payments are about $3.6 to $3.7 million annually. Again, that's your interest and your principal payments. And then the chart below at the bottom, that's your callable bonds, and that means is the bond's callable, you can refund it like we did back in 2021 for the district, and there's refunding for savings. So in this particular case, there's a small portion, the green that's in current, but those are your time warrants. Right now, they are callable, but if you remember correctly, we went back for the bond election, one of the propositions was to refund the time warrants. That requires a bond election to do so. Those will be paid from your M&O side. And then you've got a small portion in 2024, and the majority of your callable bonds become callable in 2025. And those are, you've got the two outstanding series in 2015, those are those bonds. So overall, on average, about 3.952% of interest payments or interest rates for all your outstanding bonds. If there's no questions on this slide, we can move on to the next slide, which shows it broken out by series. Next slide, please. So here is the same information just by series. So you can see at the top graph, those are your 6 outstanding series. This does include any time warrants, which are covered or paid for often by the M&O tax revenue. The other 5 are from your INS taxes. So you can see 37.8 million is what's currently outstanding. You have payments that are due, principal and interest payments that are due in February. So you just had a payment, and then you'll have one 6 months later, which is interest only. Again, this chart shows you the call dates for those respective series. You can see the time warrants that they're currently callable. 610,000 is what's available and currently callable. And then you've got the 2015s callable 25, about 3.4 million and 20 million respectively. And then you've got the 2014s, which are callable 2024, chart below just shows you broken out by series. The previous chart is your debt service payment by series. No questions on this chart?
I have just a question, just general information. The bar graph, the bottom one there on page, that one there that you're showing, each year it says 2023. That bar is showing that this year we are going to pay out a little over $3.5 million to cover all those loans.
Close to 3.6. Okay.
Bonds, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
That's a good question. And within that, you can see the different colors make up the series that are going to be that comprise that payment of 3.6. That's good for principal and interest payments. The principal interest in February and the interest.
Sure. The table at the top, under amounts that are callable, can you define callable, please?
Yes, sir. Good question. So the call, those dates on the far right column is call dates. And what that means is at that time, you can refund those to get, either restructuring or 2021 for savings. And that's a good point. Sorry, I'm glad you pointed that out. So there's two different types of refunding. There's a tax exempt, which means that they're going to be done within 90 days of that call date. So they get put into an escrow within 90 days of that call date, and it's done on a tax exempt basis. If it's greater than 90 days late in escrow, away from that call date, then it's going to be on a taxable basis. And so what we got in this, I believe it's the next slide, is we show a refunding monitor on a taxable basis for the 2015s, because if they were to be refunded now, which we don't recommend, I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But those would be done on a taxable basis since they were outside that 90-day tax exempt. But those dates are what we all around our bonds in the respective series. And on this slide here, this is what I'm referring to. This is the taxable refunding monitor for the 2015 since they're further than 90 days out from the call date. And really what I just want to highlight here is we do monitor your outstanding debt for savings. If there's availability of the district to refund these outstanding bonds and produce savings that we did in 2021, then we'll make that recommendation. Right now, we're just giving the interest rate where they're going up. It doesn't make sense to do refunding because you can see here in that column it says savings percentage. They're all negative. They're all red. So we don't want to touch those. Really, we recommend on a tax exempt refunding at least 3% or greater, and on a 5% higher. Typically, like to target double digits to get that ideal situation, but clearly none of these candidates here are recommended for refunding at this time. And as I mentioned, we'll monitor this. We do that on a routine basis. Anything does change. It is tied to the interest rates. So as back 2 years ago, when we did the 2021 refunding, as you probably remember, the interest rates were really low. And so we were able to take out the existing debt with lower interest rates, and that's what produced that savings. Unfortunately, this time, that environment is not exist. All right, any questions on this chart? Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll just move into a broad market overview. If we go to slide 6, I'm not going to focus on the paragraphs and the word that's on this. That's just the update for this in terms of the supply. What I'd like to focus your attention on, though, is that bottom right table, and particularly that last column. So what this does is it shows maturities 21 to 30, and then in that far right is the change over a year. So what you can see is, as you're probably aware, there's been a lot of volatility with rates. And so if you look at year one, maturity one, over the past year, it's increased 137 basis points, or 1.37%, which is significant. And the other thing to point out too is if you look at the first couple of years, compare it to the change over the year, compare that to the last further on the maturity schedule, like year 30, that there's a greater change in the short term. So the volatility right now is in the short term. So, and I bring this to attention is because if you look at doing any kind of bond over the course of 30 years, the rates are still relatively attractive, and I can get at the next slide. But in the short term is where it's new effective more. So the longer you stretch it out to 20 or 30 year amortization, you can benefit from having some of the more stable rates and then further years. If we can go to the next slide. I like this slide here. This is what I'm referring to. So just sort of put in perspective. So it shows a natural AAA MMD, and MMD is a municipal market data, and that's what the market uses to price the district, Rudolph bonds, the district's bonds. So there's the AAA, and then there's going to be a spread of that based on your credit. Your credit right now is A+ by S&P and A by Fitch, which is investment grade, and that's good.
So are we a AAA?
You're not AAA naturally, and then, to be quite honest with you, AAA is not very common. AAA is what they say. This is the baseline. This is and from there they produce a spread. So let's say let's just take it here. So for year one, it looks like about 1.25 is what a AAA rate would be, and on top of that, for your rating A+A, there would be an additional spread that we put to that. So maybe take it up to 2%. Yeah, these are just hypothetical numbers, but there would be a spread that's added to the AAA. There is one thing that we did this last time in 2021. There's a program for the TEA called the Permanent School Fund, and it really is just the backing of the district's bonds. So what that means is you'll have the underlying credit rating, which is A+ by S&P, A by Fitch, and then when you apply, you get accepted through the TEA Permanent School Fund, you get a enhanced rating of AAA because of the school. The state's got a pot of money that's strictly set aside to help cover, you know, there's a lack of payment. The PSF covers that. So investors like that. It's AAA enhanced rating, but they still also look at your underlying rating. In between those two, they'll give you a spread based off of wherever the AAA rates are. So what I want to point out here, though, is if you look at the green dots, that's current MMD. You can see, like I mentioned in the beginning years, it's higher than the average, the blue dots. And so as it goes out further, around year 9 or 10, you can see the current MMD is actually slightly below the average since 2000. So again, not a bad environment, definitely nothing like we had a couple of years ago, but it's still put in perspective. It's not a bad interest rate environment. And then take it a step further, if you look at those long blue bands, that's the highs and the lows for each of those maturities. So you can see, you know, the current MMD is low than below the highs over the last 23 years. Any questions on this slide? And then this slide here just shows again MMD, but compares it as a ratio to the 3-year treasury. I won't go too much into this, but I do want to just point out a couple of just here. If you look at where, so MMD here is depicted on the blue line, the 30-year treasuries with the green. If you look, typically that 30-year MMD is below the treasury. There are a couple instances where it is not, and that's if you look at 2008, 2009, the financial crisis, you can see MMD increasing above 30-year treasury. And then 2020, you can see we're back in that's 2019. So you can see we're coming back into ratios kind of close to line with history, but you know, still market that's you know, changing. What we've seen over the last few weeks, you know, with some of our clients is they've been in the market 1 week and they've been able to have a successful deal. The next week they pulled some deals out of the market because the rates are changing pretty significantly. So, all that to put it into context, you know, it's a very fluid one at this point, but you know, relatively speaking, for now, it's not as bad. So, questions on that concludes my presentation. Any questions you may have? The one thing I will point out though is, you know, in terms of your general or your outstanding debt, the district is doing a good job. Obviously, making payment on time is crucial. Default is something that can be long lasting. This one's in no jeopardy that you're making payments on time. So that's a good situation.
Questions for Mr. Noor?
I just hope I phrase it properly. So at this time, your firm is not recommending that we do any kind of refunding?
Correct. And not with the rates now. As I mentioned, they are changing pretty drastically. So we'll monitor that and we'll see. But to be completely honest with you, with the Fed's meeting tomorrow, they'll have their decision on Wednesday. And so I'm expecting the Fed fund rate to go up. That's going to drive these rates as well. Some of it's already been baked in. So you'll get a scale. I've got a scale for City to run this analysis on March 10th. So some of that anticipated, you know, 25 basis point, whatever it may be, is baked into the scale. But there's going to be some more movement. And so the higher up it goes, the less disadvantage, the less of an opportunity for refunding for savings, just because you're taking advantage of having a lower interest rate from the existing debt, and now that rate's going higher, and you want it to go lower.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How's your shoulder?
My shoulder?
Yeah.
It's gotten better, thank you.
Good for you.
I appreciate you asking.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have E, comparative analysis of business manager and chief financial officer position, ma'am.
So this is a request from the board, and so what we did is, this is informational only. I provided a copy of a model job description from HR task lead for a business manager and one for a chief financial officer. And then I've also provided a salary report for the two positions. And again, this is informational only.
Years of service, and like they're zero right now.
I'm sorry?
Is the HR still on the same pay table as the high school principal, the junior high principal?
Locally, HR and, say that again?
Is it on the same table as the high school principal and the junior high principal?
Yes.
It hasn't changed?
No.
So, I mean, in reality, they're starting from zero. So you wait until they learn their position and then are we gonna do that or we're not?
No, they get their years of service. When they transition in, they get their years of service.
But they don't
That's what
have
you're
any
asking.
years of service in
If they don't have any, they have to start it.
Yeah, so they're starting at zero. And then as they learn.
Sure.
Okay, so the title would be finance director? Or what are we looking at?
The chief financial officer, the CFO.
With no hours of,
Well, obviously, we would be looking for, if we were looking for a chief financial officer, we would be looking for somebody with experience, in district experience.
So if we can get a chief financial officer, I mean,
So right now, we are contracting with Mr. Cepeda. We have his contract, in the exclusive review. And, right now, his services are more than suitable for the district. But yes, eventually, at some point, we will have to look for an on-site financial officer.
or a business manager.
So my recommendation is going to be for a chief financial officer. Should we, I mean, that's what we're going to recruit for. Right now, because of legislation, we need to make sure that we have a financial officer that is experienced, especially if legislation is going to, the $50,000 increase passes. We're going to have to be able to make that transition as smoothly as possible going into a break, because $15,000 is a lot of money. So we've begun that process already. I don't foresee us having any issues with that. And next year will be a pinch, but it won't be anything that the district can handle.
the job description
Yes, ma'am.
doesn't fit what you're recommending. I mean, the job.
Well, these are just informational. That was the request, and that's what we submitted.
Okay.
Mr. Cepeda with us days out of the week.
3 days out of the week, 2 days on site, one off site.
And that's every week.
Yes.
And about how much do we pay him a year?
It depends on what he's doing. But Lorenzo is an experienced CFO, so he is above 100,000. I mean, if you I'm sorry?
If you were to hire.
If he were to be hired, yes, he would have he would merit the salary of an experienced CFO.
So I guess basically the question that Mr. Cruz is asking is, we pay him right now on contractual
consultant, yeah, consultant.
basis, how much we pay him per hour? Is it per hour or is
He
it?
was approved at $100 per hour?
Okay.
Yes. Oh.
That's a decision we're gonna have to make later. I mean,
Yeah, for now, it's,
somebody here full-time, I mean, I know it seems to be, experience. I mean, I was thinking along the lines of maybe hiring a business manager and keeping Mr. Cepeda training.
There's many, many changes this year.
yeah.
In finance, and it's overwhelming if you don't know anything.
We'll discuss that later.
Okay.
What else, sir?
Let's go up to the top of 8A, Superintendent Report, District Enrollment and ADA.
So the district enrollment, let's get to it, hold on. We are at 17. We really haven't changed. 1,799. And our ADA as of March 10th is at 91%.
And what ADA did you tell TEA would be at? What did you tell them?
At 91%. That's what we're gonna plan, around 91%.
91%.
Ms. Brunet, what was this salary schedule? Are we gonna discuss it or?
No, that was
Informational.
We're gonna discuss it later.
So how is it looking? Promising?
Actually, what you have there was part of Florencio's presentation, but he didn't touch on it. That is actually our transition into, should the House bill be approved. So he and I are already working on what those would look like, those dollar amounts would look like and how it would impact the district.
Yeah.
But those are preliminary, so we're not reporting that.
Any further information on the enrollment in ADA, ma'am?
That's it. Other than the 91% is our planning amount.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to 8B, discussion on band practice pad.
This is a request from a board member, so it's open for board discussion. Do you all have any questions about the?
Do we have funds for this project?
Right now, we don't have any designated funds.
We don't have any available funds.
We don't have any designated funds.
We don't have any designated fund. So how would we go about getting funds to get a band practice pad that was suitable and lighted, lighted's not a word, lit and,
So at this point, we would, right now, at this point, the way, and you just sat through the financial state of the district, we would look at our reimbursables and looking at how we can use some of that money to provide the band program with a properly
so this
lit,
is,
safe marching pad.
so this is gonna be put on the back burner until,
No, we just need to kind of close out the local budget and then, because we just closed the local budgets on the 10th. And then we start looking at what do we look like in terms of what projects we can afford.
I have a question, but by the time that we close the budget, I mean, the band's gonna be practicing and there goes another year. I think we have to find the money from somewhere else.
Okay.
Have you, I mean, looked to see what it would cost?
Okay, first of all, that's a good question, sir, but that, I think would be, even though it's something we could be, checking into now, I think, from my understanding, from what I've heard, we still haven't even had any conversations about where that practice that would be. We need to identify those areas first before we can, so I was gonna ask, the band director, sir, when do you project will be your first day of band practice for the upcoming year?
Can you come over here, sir, because I can't hear you? Face is all messed up.
I've been working on dates for next year. I'm looking at July 24th as being our return to.
July what?
July 24th as being our return to marching. We do have 10 hours available for marching fundamentals before August 1st under UIL. After those 10 hours that week, we cannot do anything until August 1st. So August 1st is my goal is to start the drill. Right now, the drill is already being written. I am a little bit ahead of the game this year. But July 21st is our beginner band, or summer band, excuse me. And then, that's when we'll be hitting the floor.
Do you have any idea how much it would cost to do?
In terms of the asphalt and all that, I do not, but tower, we're looking at a multi-tier tower. We're looking around the 96,000 around there. And then
96,000?
96,000. And then on the dots themselves, which are useful for the kids to use as a resource to learn drill, we're looking at, I think, 27,000. I have a quote here, that from a while back. So around that area. Actually, guys, on the dots, we're looking at 3,000, not 27,000, sorry.
How much?
$3,000. And that includes the dots and the markers, the yard line markers and the hash marks, everything necessary. And then location for the pad would be the old, staff parking lot, I believe, in front of the band hall. So where the band hall's at, the old parking lot there, that area. I did find
Is there
a,
lighting in that? I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead,
Is there lighting at the parking lot?
I don't,
It's not that good. There is lighting, it's just not that good.
It could be better.
And if you were to do lighting, I wouldn't want the light to go face the apartments right next to it. Cause I know that at some point someone's gonna complain, so I'd rather put the lights right next to the apartments and they'll shine towards the band hall. That way, everything goes that way. Lights, and I wanna face the band that way so we don't disturb the apartments next door. I did.
Sorry, if I may, so you have already decided that the best place that you would like to see your practice pad is in the old teacher's parking lot?
That's.
Can I accept or no? Because we have to have a starting point. And before I even start thinking about dollar amounts, we need to know where. Okay, so that's what you would like to have.
Safety reasons, of course, it would be right next to the barn, as close to the band hall as possible.
Yes or no?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, okay, great. All right, so that being said, so now we can start looking at what are the things that's required to have a proper practice pad. So you're really looking at a tower? One or two for the what, the band directors, just one or?
Just one multi-tiered.
Okay, and,
You're meaning 3-level or 2-level.
and then those things that you mentioned, the lines, the cones, the dots,
It's
and then of course lighting.
the light, yes.
Now, the size of the parking lot, that is appropriate. You don't want to expand it?
It would have to be expanded because
So-
it would have to be expanded towards the high school if it were to fit.
West? Toward the high school be west?
Where the old high school was,
Yeah, west.
that area, west.
Right.
I do have this that I was given last year, which is a scale model of where it would be in that terrain. And I'm looking at a 10-yard line to 10-yard line, which would be what we need for the band. Because we don't have any goal line to goal line, it'd just be 10 to 10 for us to practice. And a storage room, because right now our issue is storage. We have.
And you have shared that information with the superintendent, sir?
It was given to us
Yeah,
last year.
that's from the old,
Oh, okay, all right. And that is acceptable for you, sir?
It will work, yes. It will work, especially the storage room. A lot of the issues is, right now, is we don't have storage. There's things outside, panels outside, instrument storage up in the attic is to a point that I'm afraid that it's gonna cave in. And I want to remove all that and storage it somewhere else, just for the safety of the kids. Because our storage room is at the top of the boys and girls restroom. And I'm afraid that it's gonna just, over the years, cave in. So one of my goals is, over the summer, is to empty out that attic storage room and whatever old instruments are there, figure out what to do with it. And so, I guess.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Have you, speaking of safety, have you, ordered one of those where you're, what are they called, that are directed to man?
Podium, I have looked into it.
Because, I was reading where backside didn't have an opening and somewhere in Texas, she said like that.
Yes, I was.
So I think we need to order one of those for you that has protection all over the world.
Yes, I did look into that, but that put that on my budget for the upcoming year. There is one that has all rails around, and it's an X stand, so it'll be good to move, transport from A to B.
and that
Was critically injured.
right?
Excuse me?
It will be a regular supply material.
It'll be capital outlay. That'll be capital, because it's more than 5,000. We're looking at 7,000 for a podium like that.
You guys use two of them.
Excuse me?
You use two of them.
I'll use one, and then I'll use the regular podiums I have there. But I did only put one for my budget, so we would.
Yeah, because I mean, it's true what we say now, also, Rick, I mean, that this girl that was and she forgot, I mean, how bad she was going.
I know.
She broke her.
Yeah, that's always the same thing.
She was critically injured.
Right now, we're focusing on the pad, and those are good points that were brought up, because that concern that I've also had about they could fall, but that's right now,
One thing at a time.
different subject, so I guess, so right now, we should, when I say we, I mean, you and the administration should be looking at prices for all the different things that you foresee are needed for the practice pad.
I have the quotes available for the towers and the dots. The only thing I don't have is the landscaping paddle. That's for,
Yeah, first we need to look at the location.
Right.
And then we go from there.
And then, so then we can then start.
One, we don't want them crossing the street anymore. We don't want them out there. We want them contained, right outside your door.
I think that, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I know it could be a budget issue, but I remember last year when we approved the budget, I asked Mr., what's his name?
Cepeda?
Cepeda, do we have any, money that was not spent that, and he mentioned $1.7 million, I mean, so we needed to get it from somewhere, I mean, safety, I mean, and we need to do it quickly because, I mean, we're gonna start on it, and, it's like the uniforms, I mean, the uniforms came in, and
Not only that, if we wait, it's gonna cost a lot more. Prices are going up like crazy.
I'm in favor, I mean, I don't know, put it in the next board meeting and give us the quotes and everything and vote on it. Whoever wants to vote for it. We vote, we need it, we hold it.
What would Ms. Briones, budget-wise, what will it affect adversely if we do that? What would be the consequence?
It would depend, because we would have to look at, the first is the build, right? So you have the existing parking lot, how much more do we have to expand it? So there's that first.
that's one factor is how
Right.
much of the parking lot is gonna be broken down and then flatten the terrain in that whole area from width and length. And then the location of the marching tower and see if there's no underlying water lines or anything, so, that way they don't break something, and then, the placement of a storage room, where would it be used?
So what we need is a full project projection.
I think,
Not quotes, not this, we need the full scale, because for me to answer Ms. Young, I need to know what your full scale is.
Yes. Like I said, I have some of these, numbers that I can hand you, but it's just the landscape portion that I don't have access to.
Right, which is where we need to start.
Yeah.
and we're going with, an asphalt surface, not an artificial turf.
But it depends on what the recommendation is,
The one, asphalt being the one that's currently
where you practice
the
right
need.
now.
Yeah,
How
asphalt.
can he start on the landscape? Like, how would he?
I think that you should, consult I think you should consult J&J Excavation and.
Of the size of the field, of the marching path first. Without that, everything else is gonna be secondary.
Well, go ahead and, try to do it as soon as possible, maybe by next.
By next
meeting.
board meeting.
To be honest, I mean, I had requested, I mean, I know, that when we got a budget analysis of the expenses that we were looking at, I felt that our fund could cover the band and the tennis courts. So if we're gonna move on those, I mean, those tennis courts, like I've said before, they don't have anything out there. They don't have restrooms. They can't hold anything here. So I would like to bring that back to the table as well. Both things, because I know that when Helen's gave us that presentation, I felt that they didn't have to go through a bond. I felt that they were for the kids and that we could afford them out of our own fund balance.
The original one, last year?
Whoever came.
Okay,
All right,
we will take a look at it, yes.
thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, we're going to F, district projects update.
Mr. Fernandez? Everybody should have your handout.
Hello.
I provided you a printout of the updates, and if you have any questions, I can address them. For the exception of door lock upgrades, we keep that confidential, so we don't want to speak about it in public. We can answer those questions at other times. I'm free for that, but we did, with our fencing project, we did already break ground. We started the dig test around Rivera and Zavala campuses on Thursday, March 9th, this month. The housing authority has already given us permission to remove the current fencing around that area behind Rivera and Zavala campuses, so we're beginning that already. Monday, beginning of spring break, first posts were cemented in the ground. Some of the panels already have been coming up. I don't know if y'all have driven by Howland Drive. Some of the panels are already coming up. It's looking really good. So work will continue this week, and as more materials come in, they're gonna bring more crews to work a little faster to speed that project up.
And they're gonna be solid enough so that nobody can push against them and don't fall back.
These are all steel.
How deep are they? How deep?
3 feet into the ground cement. Yes, sir. Yeah, and they're 8 feet high. So we're registered. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay. Paving projects, as y'all know,
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
As I went to check on the fence, I also saw the poles from the old fence. Are they gonna be removed?
Yes, sir.
Or are they gonna be used for something?
No, sir, those are gonna be removed. Basically, we cut out and then, yeah, they'll have to be dug out as necessary.
Because I saw them standing, so it's.
Mhm. Yes, sir, and they're already starting to work on that already.
Sorry.
Yes. Paving projects, y'all know, y'all have approved, for us to buy vape detector units, for our campuses at the BJ and the Sterling and, high school and ABC. Those have all been installed and they're up and running already. The administrators have access to that, our police department has access to that, and our technology team has access to all those vaping units. And we're already receiving electronic notifications for alerts on the vaping units. Anybody has any questions on those?
That's what this is all about.
Yes, sir.
This is this week.
It's a big issue all over the country, probably.
An invite to our community-based vaping awareness training.
That's Friday.
This is Friday at 10 a.m. at Crystal City High School in the auditorium. Sarah is going to be spearheading this project for us because we do have a serious vaping issue, especially at the secondary campuses. Mr. Chief Rios and his team, along with all of the technology that we have, we've been making a dent in the number of vape cases across the campuses. But we still, our concern is that that some of these vapes can be laced with something more dangerous than just tobacco or THC. So that is an awareness that we need to create within the community. So we extended an invite to all the community members. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout. Again, this is scheduled for March the 24th at high school. At 10 p.m.
I have a question.
Please, I would like to congratulate the campuses and him and Mr. Wahardo and you on that very good report we got from the visit.
Yes.
Audits.
Yeah, that was congratulations for the campuses and you and Mr. Wahardo for.
Chief, you want to come and contribute to the commendations that your department has received?
That was a very good report.
Oh, so the last time they came, the auditors came by and, they went, I believe Savannah. No, it was DTR. DTR, they went to DTR and, the officer spotted them right outside the door as they were driving by. And they kind of, they kind of know that they're always out there. They kind of know who's out there, who's not. So they spotted that vehicle and he went around. He was trying to be real sneaky. He was one of those really sneaky guys. And finally they caught up to him and he kind of said, you know what, I've been to a lot of facilities, a lot of campuses, and this is the first time that I don't see police officers on the phones. First time I see police officers on me. I always get away with it. Yeah, I think he's the one that went to Carrizo and he went inside the high school. So it was a real good compliment for the.
Thank you, that's good.
For the officers, and, you know, they're always out there, you know, trying to see what they can, you know. They're always alert, and they have to show a lot of presence, deterrence, and that really helps for, you know, trying to.
I think that's the guy that went into the cafeteria room and about it, and they didn't catch him.
That's the same guy, I believe, so he's really sneaky, really, you can tell.
That's the point. They want to get you off guard.
Yeah, he tried really hard, he said, I really tried, they wouldn't let me go, so he said, I just gave up and showed my credentials.
That's good. That's very good to all of y'all.
That's a good thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
No, I had one question.
You have a question?
Yeah, I did. To, the vapes, do we know if some of these vapes are made with any type of metal
The
Or-
actual devices?
devices?
Yes, they do have metal.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Have y'all talked about the metal detectors?
Yes, it's something.
Because I didn't see it on the agenda, and it's something that's really, really important that I want us to discuss and approve as soon as we can.
So the metal detectors, because it's such a compromising type of initiative, we have to run, you know, parent surveys, student surveys, and things like that, get their input, because it's what we're expecting.
I think we should get them going because,
Yeah.
I know you guys are present and whatever, but if somebody wants to sneak something inside the school, they're gonna do it. Okay, they're gonna do it.
And they have caught some with metal detectors, as they wander down and they've caught some fakes.
And we haven't had any threats lately. That was reportable to the board.
No.
Serious, okay.
And you can see the difference when it comes down to vapes, you can see the difference with the vape sensors, with the dogs that are coming in twice a month. You can see the difference where you get hits every day, and it's not that often, you know, you get hits and you see them, but at first we started seeing the hits coming in, and as we started hitting them and charging them, because we're charging them with a felony now, they all know about it, so now it's an eye-opener for them, so, you know, that's helping a lot.
More questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you go over lots of?
Yeah, it's confidential.
It's confidential, so if you have any questions, sir, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do we need to turn this back in?
Yes, because it has confidential information, so we'll be picking up this.
Appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
There.
Is it in here?
You can always request. Yeah, just put it in. You can always request to see it in the.
Great.
Here you go.
Thank you.
There you go, ma'am, one more. All right, under informational discussion, last item is 8G, Spring Star interim data.
Mr. Moreno?
Everybody has, I kind of been looking at, you guys have it, right? This sheet, this one sheet?
Yes, it is.
Yes, awesome. So this is just a real quick overview on how we did on the Spring Star interims. I believe we're gonna be going a little bit more in depth in April. We knew that this board meeting was gonna be, it's gonna take a while, so it's like, let's, you know, this was gonna take a while as well, you know how our benchmarks always take a while to go through. So, we're gonna cover this in April, but as you can see, we did see growth in almost all of our subjects. One, for example, you know, a really good show of growth was third grade RLA. Their reading, they grew all the way to 63%, which they met their, I believe when we looked at it, they were looking almost at their within 7 target. So that's one that we saw that was like, you know, that they're doing. For the most part, like I said, everyone grew. We did have a couple that kind of regressed, but you know, we expect to see that in a couple areas. But overall, we did see, you know, growth by at least 10% in almost all of our subjects that were tested.
Who teaches US history?
US history, that's Mr. Can I say his name? Yeah. Yes, Mr. Ibarra. Moses Ibarra?
Things are happening in that
Oh,
room.
yes. When I was the instructional coach at the high school, I loved going into his classroom, and you would see those kids. You can see the learning happening in that.
Well, I mean, it's obvious. When do you test?
When did we test? Well, this year with the new windows,
We start April 18th, and then every 2 weeks we'll be changing subjects. So the first one is the first 2 weeks starting on April 18th is the RLA test. So we'll test all those. And the second set of 2 weeks is going to be science and social studies, and then the last one is going to be math.
Mr. Moreno, I'm worried about this. I don't see how they're gonna jump that high in a few weeks.
It's really, the promise was really there when we were looking at the growth. We could see a lot of kids were really in that little bubble within 4 or 5 questions. And I know that the campuses are really starting to hit tutorials. You know, even I myself, I'm jumping back into the classroom throughout the day, and I go and I help out biology. So, you know, I know it's all hands on deck. I know we're all there for the students, and we're all doing what we can do. But like I said, the promise is there. We can see it. Everybody's really close to those targets that we put that we saw in, what was it, December, when we presented in December to the November benchmarks. Everyone's, I mean, they're right on track. And we know that with tutorials, you know, our tutorials are on track. You know, they've been in tutorials since January, and I know we took a little break for the spring break, but now we're gonna jump back into it, and we're gonna be hitting it hard and heavy.
Because I look at this and then I look at what Miss Briones gave us. And she's telling this board that by the end of 24-25 school year, 65% of our students in grade 3 will score at meet grade level or above, 65%. And it just, I don't know, I'm very worried about it because they're gonna test in just a few weeks.
Have you shared this with the principals?
Yes, they got the results right. They tested the day and they got them right then and there. And they got all of the names and they know exactly the students, you know, who.
And the kids are prepared with the new format that's gonna be given?
Yes, that's something that we've been preparing. I mean, even since last year, we knew that this was coming. So I think last year, I was the district testing coordinator, but I know at my campus and the junior high, they tested 100% online. And then this year, you know, we've really been showing it, and they even go online, and I know I've seen teachers practice, like whenever they have a little bit of downtime in the classroom, hey guys, let's go in there, let's just practice using the new format, because, I mean, it's different, we know it's gonna be different, but definitely the teachers are preparing the students for that.
I'm hearing that not this year, but next year, they could let 3rd, 4th graders have a paper test. I read it the other day of some TEA.
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything. The paper administration is really only in severe special education. They have to have a severe disability that can't be modified on an online test. But I mean, you never know. It's a legislative year, so you never know.
I just, you know, here, Ms. Briones, one more time. What year, if you're in what year of accountability?
First.
For IR?
They still are only in year 1.
Okay, so this is critical that we get out, so we don't move into 2.
Correct. And the campus is well aware of that. And TA is on top of everything that we're doing because they are reviewing our progress as well.
Number you need to get out of, like, them to pass or to get out of IR.
I'm sorry, a second.
What's the percentage you need? Percentage of students they need to pass to get out of IR?
They need to have the majority of the kids meet approaches. You're talking about at Zavala Elementary, it's 3rd grade reading and math. They need to have the majority of the 3rd grade students pass their, for them, it's gonna be student achievement.
Over 50%?
Yes.
So that being the case, if this is an indication, then Zavala,
It's on their way?
it's on the way, and it's there already won and very close.
And I believe they were this is where they scored last year at the end of year. And so, you know, this was in February, at the beginning of February. So, you know, we've grown, we're gonna grow on top of that. So this is where they ended last year, so we're already gonna be above where we were last year.
And what percentage did you say?
I'm sorry?
What percent did you say?
For, like where they were last year? Or
to?
Oh, well, it depends on their approaches, meets and masters, their overall and their percentages and the math that kind of goes into the accountability. That's what
Percent of the students taking the test.
I heard somebody say at least 50%.
You need to get above 50%. So the way these work, it's not, you can't say 70% of the students need to pass because it's a calculation. Their calculations upon calculation. So we need to look at the percent of students that scored approaches versus meets and masters, because then we have to average them out, average them by 3, and then we have to translate that into a raw score. And from the raw score to a scale score, from the scale score to a component score. So it's not as easy as us sitting here and say, oh, 70% of the kids have to pass. We have to show growth in every single proficiency in approaches, in meets, and in masters.
Okay.
It's a lot of math.
And what about the kids that don't meet approaches, meets or expectation? I mean, what are we looking at those kids?
After testing,
Well, the kids that didn't,
so all of the kids that do not meet expectations, we are by law required to give them intervention under House Bill 4545. So that started last year. We started in the summer. So we make sure that those students that did not pass a STAR tested assessment receive their 30 hours of intervention. So
and-
we're in compliance.
but intervention on passing the test or interventions
On what
on
they-
improving the reading level?
Interventions based on what the students need.
And I believe, if I understand it correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a section on progress, and the progress is individual also. I know it says
Correct.
cumulative or group, but it's also individual. So let's say one of our children doesn't meet approaches, but if that child shows improvement between one year to the next, then that's a positive.
So for Zavala Elementary, their only measure is student achievement. Their only measure is pass or fail. And what we look at is for the kids that are going to pass, at what level are they going to pass? So that's where all the calculations come into play. So yes, at Zavala Elementary, it's pass or fail. Starting at 4th grade on to English 2 in RLA, then you have the growth measures to take into consideration. So if you have a 4th grader that did not pass, that did not meet the passing expectation, but showed 1 year's worth of growth from where he or she started the year, the state will give you points for that student. So that's why it's not as easy as for us to sit here and say 30%, 40%, 50%, because it's student by student. And depending on how much they grew.
In some cases, the content more too.
Yeah, so yes, but we are on top of all the growth measures. We already know how many students are contributing to the annual growth composite scores also. So
And
those sessions we've already had
how-
campus administrators as well.
Has that program on Saturdays ended from the grant, or they're still,
No, we're still
and we have
a good
a lot
turn.
of students coming? That helps.
Yeah, we've only taken, well, we took one Saturday off because of weather. And then, of course, the Saturday, the spring Saturday, but we're back to tutorials this Saturday.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, let's go on to section 9, informational items.
They're informational, sir, and unless somebody has a question.
I requested on the agenda, I know it's there on just recap on, I don't know, I mean, it's on the agenda on what we approved for the baseball and all that thing that we approved.
No, it's not here.
Let me just ask you, anything on the bleachers? I mean,
I sent actually Mr. Bonilla a picture of what the steps are going to look like. So yes, those have been,
so
yes.
they
I
found them,
can show you. Oh, yes.
but they found them, and are we gonna get them or next year or?
No, we're working on it already.
Okay. You think we'll get them before district Friday?
Administrative.
The step is the step.
But-
There's another mechanism that we have to build before we
But-
clear the step.
But you know, I mean,
Yes.
where they're gonna go, I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
okay. The signs, I mean, did you have a time to meet with, I don't know.
I asked Coach Battle
Signs.
signage.
Signage,
the faded signs, and
Oh,
then,
yeah, we're looking at replacing those, but we just haven't found the right words that match what we have on ours. So I don't know if we have to either make one, to match it or.
I think they sell them because, I mean, it's by.
Yeah, those signs are old, I know which ones you.
Yeah.
pointed out to me before. They're right outside the main entrance of the stadium. So we can look at just kind of recreating our own and just kind of copy and pasting, or we can kind of keep searching.
We need to do it
no,
because
we would need to purchase them.
we need to do it
Because
because
we need to make sure they're in compliance.
baseball is, have weight done.
I'm sorry.
We need to do on because, I mean, we start district next Friday and you can't.
For the letters.
Yeah, we'll look at some more this week and we'll get something. Take care of it.
Just some information on the Zavala County Appraisal District report. The appraisal district did not have a quorum and did not meet on Wednesday, so the preliminary budget was not approved for that meeting Wednesday. So you'll get an updated one probably by the next meeting, or maybe we have to have a special meeting. We'll have a special meeting. The appraisal district submits a budget to cover their operations, and every entity that they work for provides a percent of the monies to cover the expenditures. Any questions in reference to informational items? All right, at this time, we go to item 12, adjournment. Motion made by member Nora Guerrero to adjourn. There a second?
Second it.
Second made by member Peggy Young. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes unanimously 6-0. And the time is, ma'am?